G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. We're going to watch a game from the Korean ladder. It's been a little while since we've had something from the Korean ladder as far as I can remember. But we're going to this one's going to be very special. This is actually featuring a fellow Australian player. He's from the C community, and he started really ranking up quite highly on the Korean server, and you'll see why in just a moment. Starting down at the bottom left-hand side in the red here is the Barcode player, but you may know him if you're in the C region, you may know him. If you're from overseas, you might not be as well familiar with him. But this is Mafia, who's recently joined Team Immunity. He's a bit of a macro player, some may say a little bit greedy at times, but this is actually his first, StarCraft 2 is actually his first competitive computer game, so it's taken a while for him to just mass up quite a lot of games, and had a little bit of trouble with his mechanics skills previously when he started out, but I'm told, thank you to TT Pig, that he's gotten incredibly good with that micro, and has been just really powering up his skills quite a lot there. He was also a former, a pro poker player as well, which means that he has some excellent read skills when he's playing the game. Of course, a lot of players will compare StarCraft and StarCraft 2 to playing poker and chess and that sort of thing, where you need to do a lot of thinking and working out what your opponent is up to. But he's going to have a lot of working out to do here. At the top right-hand side in the blue is MarineKing.Prime. He's going to be here fighting it out against his Zergy opponent. Of course, everyone knows MKP. We've finally had some wins for him in some major tournaments, of course, MLG, the arenas, and all that sort of thing. And he's been doing quite well lately. He's been really looking quite unflappable when he's been playing. He's been doing some really good jobs. Of course, he's had this recent standoff with Dongray Gu in their various matchups at MLG and other events. But he's just certainly one that you don't want to underestimate at all. And it looks as if he's going to be doing his own little greedy play here, just starting out with a 1-Rax command center, getting a little bit popular these days, especially with the recent changes to TVZ with the upgrade to the Queen range. Of course, the Queens now have a much larger range. They can take out Hellions a little bit easier, and it's not just about actually destroying Hellions, because of course that reactor Hellion opening was a very standard sort of thing to see in this particular matchup, especially at the higher level, where you could take some Hellions, come into your Zerg opponent's base, and then just really sort of put a lot of harassment down, kill a few drones, sort of keep him inside the base. But not only that, restrict the creep flow out through the map, which is something that Mafia is actually very well known for, is his creep spread, which hopefully we'll get to see how he does that today, because of course it's if you can emulate something like that, it'll always help you in TVZ, because there's nothing more scary for a Terran than seeing creep all over the map. Of course, players such as Rhett and Hey Pro and other various people, even Moro from over from EU. It's just some players who do some fantastic creep spread, really helps out with Zerg movement around the map. Now, MKP has interestingly gone for another, his own little greedy Terran style here, which is also, I have seen this coming up every now and then, is this very fast third command center here. He's in fact got it at basically the same time as his factory, so he's going to be relying on just a little bit of micro here with these Marines. He hasn't actually done any scouting at all, which is just a little bit of an interesting situation here, but he is playing against a top player here on the Korean server, so he should know that it's not, it's really unlikely that it's going to be any sort of cheese. So that's obviously how we're going to start out here between these two players. They're going to look towards a little bit more of a macro game. As we saw just before, Mafia has actually taken his third hatchery down here at that base. He's just picked up his gas inside the main. 1, 2, and 3 are on the way. So he is going to crank up that gas production in just a moment, and we'll see once he has a little bit more gas of how far he is going to go with his tech, whether he's going to just maybe skip the roaches. You can do that much easier now in this particular matchup, because of course, as we said, Hellions aren't as much of a threat, because the Queens can move out, as we can see here. They're just going to sort of move out into this position. They're going to put some more creep tumors down and get the creep spread really far on the map, and actually you can skip roaches as long as you have quite a lot of links to make sure you have control on the map. But looks as if Mafia is going to play it safe. Obviously, if you're wanting to play a safer game, you may take a little bit more of an economy hit or a tech hit, but you will be a lot safer when it comes down to it. So MKP will have to contend with some roaches very soon. Not going to be a trouble at all. He's got a tank on the way along with the siege mode for that. Double engineering base up the top right hand side here. Always going to help when you get a few upgrades going on those Marines. And Mafia has just been really powering up here. Got up to 44 drones. We've got another 4 on the way. Some roaches are going to come out for some protection as well. And he's just really just getting the economy going, but also being relatively safe about it. Of course, as we can see, it's just starting to wall off here. We're going to be a little bit later on the upgrades. Of course, normally you see the Evo chamber down at around about the same time as the Roach Warren, but he has been focusing on that creep spread just a little bit. As we can see, we've even got a queen out on the map, making sure that the spread is proceeding as needed, and he's just taking a peek inside the natural expansion here. I can see that there's going to be a wall here, so you won't be able to do too many run-bys, but it is going to be a supply depot wall, so it's not going to be the thickest of walls. But of course, Marine King, he's getting his own upgrades going here. The tank, it's the siege mode, I should say. I was about to say tank mode. I was like, that'd be interesting. You make a siege mode out of the, you make a siege tank out of the factory, and it can't actually move till you get an upgrade. But he's just got standard sort of thing going here. We're just really keeping up with his SCV production. As you can see, up to 48 SCVs himself. He's of course got the additional power of those mules, which are down here at the natural expansion. He's probably going to look to just make sure he can secure this position with his tanks, obviously across the ridge here, providing a really nice field of fire just around this bottom side of the cliff here, and he'll be able to cover this section here. He's going to put up a couple of bunkers and then of course get this third base going. So things looking good there for Marine King. His opponent is still pushing out this creep as much as he can. Look at this. We have so many active creep tumors on the map. We've got, looks as if we've got 4, 5, 6, possibly 7 or 8 going at a time, which is just fantastic to see. Interesting to look at the army supply here. They're actually quite even, because Mafia has spent just only a little bit of his production on these roaches here. We're about to have a whole bunch of lings just pop out, as we saw. They're just about to head out on the map here, so he's going to look to make sure that he's controlling the watchtowers and keeping MKP in check. You don't want to have your Terran opponent just sitting back, getting these upgrades flowing on the engineering base. This is going to be beautifully timed out here for MKP, of course. And you just don't want to see a Terran just sitting back and saying, look, hey buddy, we're at the 20-minute mark, and now I've got 3-3 on my on my Marines and +3 on my tanks as well. You're not going to get anywhere. So that's always one thing you got to be careful of, which it looks like Mafia is going to try and just sort of apprehend at the moment. He does have +2 on the Carapace and the melee weapons for his Zerglings here. He hasn't actually touched the Roaches just yet. They've just got the Carapace upgrade as a byproduct there as well. So we may see him stick with a little bit more of a ground-based army. We'll have to see if he does get the Greater Spire switching over once the normal Spire is completed construction. It's around about halfway done. The Hive is also just on the way as well. So things looking very, very standard, but always take note of this creep spread down the bottom right-hand side here. We've got a few tumors just pushing up the right side as well, and all through the middle. He's in fact down to he's almost at that 4th base of MKP, which will be very annoying for MKP to deal with very soon, but it's also just spreading out through the side here. So this is a miraculous level of creep spread here. MKP is going to need to try and get out on the map and deal with this as soon as he can, but of course he's actually just he's only really been spending on these Marines, getting a 4th command center, and just these tanks as well. So he's certainly going to have a lot of power in his infantry and the tanks that are out of the map, but he's not going to be able to move out as easily until everything is prepared. And it looks as if he may be going for something like that. We going to get any drops here from MKP? I don't think so. Mafia has just been sitting back. He's got the Greater Spire on the way. 76 drones are currently out on the map for him as well. So things are looking very good. It looks as if these lings are going to have just a quick bite here, finding some of these Marines out on the map. The medevac will have to pick them up, but the medevac gets caught out by a fungal growth, trying to drop the Marines down, but they are straight from the out of the frying pan and into the fire there. The medevac is going to have to retreat, and both of these guys losing all of their Marines that they were looking to cover. And Marine King not going to be happy about losing all those Marines. He will have seen, of course, that there are quite a lot of Lings out on the map. There are infestors there as well, so he should be preparing. We'll see if he does have... Yeah, he's got just the medevacs on the way at the moment. We don't actually have a second starport just as of yet, but we'll be looking to see if he knows. He hasn't done any scanning. This is very interesting here from MKP. He's just playing this very passive style, sitting back, getting this 4th command center up, and just making sure he can see exactly what's going on at his own front door, but in terms of the rest of the map, he's not really too worried about that. So Marine King is going to have to start pushing out on the map, because otherwise Mafia is going to get large and in charge. And in fact, speaking of which, the Broodlords are already on the way. 6 of those are morphing in now. He's got the 3-3 on the Carapace, and the melee weapons here for these Lings coming into effect very soon. Of course, that's, well, I say soon, but it's a little while off, but it is going to be a very big factor in this game. Meanwhile, MKP just checking the spread on the left-hand side of the map here. He's just going to come through the center and try and clean some of this up. Meanwhile, the Broodlords slowly moving into position, taking advantage of the fact that there is a cliff up the top here, which they can sit over, and he's actually going to push Marine King back inside the natural. Probably not the best position for Mafia to attack into. Of course, there is this choke point here which has been enlarged, but of course, once you get inside, there is still going to be a total meat grinder for all these Lings. They're going to have to rely on these Broodlords being in a good position, and in good position they are. The tanks and Marines having to come down through the left-hand side, but they're not going to actually get too far. They are going to be able to just block up that whole choke point, and the fungal growth is beautiful there from Mafia. He's on top of every single unit and flying unit there, and that is actually going to be quite huge here. MKP supply dipping down to 164. He is, of course, way on top of his macro here. Vikings starting to come out to deal with those Broodlords, but of course, Mafia has got his own huge economy back at base, so we've got this 4th base up, and things are looking like they are going to swing the way of MKP for the time being. Of course, these Marines are going to be able to deal with the Broodlords if they get too far from the cliff. And now that they're going to retreat, they should be easy target for those Marines. So behind this, MKP has lost a little bit of his supply. Mafia is just going to have to beef up his just a little bit in a moment, but MKP has established that 4th base, so he's going to have to be very careful with how he proceeds from here. There are some extra starports. We're going to have a total of 4 starports out on the map. Interestingly, I love the timing for this. Mafia has actually switched around and said, you know what, buddy, we're going to have Ultralisks on the map, if I can actually find the cavern. It's somewhere. There is there is an Ultralisk. There it is. Ultralisk cavern is on the way, so he is going to be able to switch up through that tech. Meanwhile, MKP just pushing through the creep spread. He's just probably saying to himself, wow, how did he get this far? And of course, that was because MKP really had no map presence at all. Speaking of which, Mafia just busting around these Marines, trying to take them down, just trying to really just whittle down some of that army and just say to MKP, you're not going anywhere just at the moment, while more Broodlords are in construction here. There we go. We've got a total of 5 out on the map. Their +1 to the air attacks is just about to complete, as well as the Ultralisk armor. So Mafia is definitely going to switch into this. It'll just be very dependent on when he does it. You need to be very careful when sort of poking around with the Ultralisk tech. Of course, as every single person knows, when you've been watching a lot of StarCraft 2, there can be times where you can switch into Ultralisk tech and just absolutely lose, because they can get stuck on buildings, on positions, all that sort of thing, and it is not any good fun to deal with. But it looks as if we are going to have a battle in the middle here. The Corruptor's trying to take down some of the Vikings as well as the medevacs here, but beautiful fungal growth, letting those Lings get on top of all of that army here, and MKP has had a lot of his army just absolutely desecrated here. The medevac count is still looking good, but of course, medevacs don't actually do much unless you're going to suicide into those Broodlords, which unfortunately for them, they don't have the capability of doing. And it looks as if Mafia is going to be able to run rampant here at this 4th base. His own 5th base is now being established down at the bottom right-hand side as well. Lings and Broodlings are now just chewing into those SCVs like it's a Sunday night roast. And now, speaking of roasting, MKP is perhaps on the back foot here. He's making a huge total of Marines each time. He's got a massive cycle to use here, 12 at a time, +3 to his vehicle weapons is going to complete, but unfortunately that is not going to assist anything at all Pretty sure there are actually no tanks out of the map. Oh, there's 3. We've got a couple still being created back here, but more fungal growths going down here for Mafia. He's getting them right on top of the Vikings. MKP trying to repair with his SCVs, but these extra starports have now been destroyed, which is not actually going to matter too much because now Mafia is sending those big boys across the map, and they are going to just link up with the rest of these forces with the fungal growth, with these lings all over, swarming all over the ground, not to mention their adrenal gland upgrade. He is going to be able to just sweep through the rest of this map here, and MKP is forced to GG. So really, really good game there from Mafia, just taking advantage of the fact that MKP was going to sit back. So Mafia said, you know what, you can sit back all you want. I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of drones here. We got up to 84 by the end there, and get the melee upgrades and the carapace and all that sort of thing going. Sit on these beautiful lings with the fungal growth, and just be in a very nice position. So really good game there. It was good to see a little bit of the metagame change there, with the Hellions not being as popular from MKP, of course. Previously in MLG, we saw him do these massive Hellion builds, but none of that today. But congrats to Mafia for taking out MKP. Hopefully, we will see some more of Mafia in the higher ranking games over in Korea and maybe on the international scene. Make sure you go and check him out on his Twitch TV channel and say hello on Twitter as well. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you also tune in for late night Imber discussions on every Sunday night at 1 a.m. EST in America, and then that's 3 p.m. in Australian Eastern Standard Time. We talk about all sorts of strategy things, and it is lots of fun. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Cheers.